Net map analysis is a social mapping tool, and this is a tool that was developed by a lady called Dr. Eva Scheffer, and Dr. Scheffer developed this tool as her PhD thesis. This was her PhD project, and she developed it to help communities that they were working with to be part and parcel of the creation of the projects that they were doing in those communities. The most important bit about net map analysis is the fact that, number one, it is a participatory tool. And ideally, you want to ensure that the stakeholders are involved in this, net mapping. Why are you net mapping? You identify the various stakeholders that are going to be involved in whatever it is that you're doing. But most important, you then map them in relation to the interest that they have in what it is that you're going to do, the influence that they're going to have, and you rate that. Now, the importance of doing that is that, number one, you ensure you have included all your stakeholders. But number two, most important, you start developing your preferences that are informed by the level of influence and the level of interest. Now, you'll find that in communication, public relations and communication, we are taught about the interest-influence quadrant. Now, this net map analysis tool, I found that it's a practical way of placing your stakeholders into the interest-influence quadrant. Except that now you do it with the stakeholder, you do it with other people. So you brainstorm and build consensus on who has interest, who has influence. And so as a result of that, it is a co-creation of your strategy, and it is evidence-based, but most important, you can always track back and see, did I leave out somebody or did I not? And so we have found with time that this tool necessarily just gives aha moments. So you'll find that the clients we work with, you just see, aha, this is it. And you find they're brainstorming, they're looking at the various interest that there are. Is it a negative interest? Is it a positive interest? So that when you look at your tactics to engage with these various stakeholders, then you see that you're satisfied that you have actually done the right thing, because you didn't think through it alone. You have done it with other people. I'd want to mention a major gap that I have seen with the development of communication strategies. You find that many times we don't link the communication strategy to the organizational strategy. And so at Cause Impact, what we have done is that the NetMap analysis tool does not stand on its own. We lead to it. And we start with the situation analysis, where we carry out secondary research. And with that secondary research, we look at benchmark organizations, we pull out the issues that an organization is having. Then we craft questions for the primary research. And in the primary research, we carry out research that goes through the internal people in the organization. We look at the various stakeholders. We look at competitors if necessary, you know. And so we, if necessary also, we will do knowledge, attitude, and practices research. We do CAP surveys. So we've actually done surveys on the ground. We've gone to, you know, the different counties. So for example, when we did devolution, the strategy for the Ministry of Devolution, we actually did 8 regions in the country, 13 counties, and we went to the ground. And some of the things you find out there are very interesting. For example, West Pokot, where everybody thinks that to get to, you know, to the most popular way of getting information is radio. We found out that no, it was Facebook, which meant that a key stakeholder would be Communications Authority to ensure that there is internet in that area, because their best source of getting information is Facebook. So you don't assume you know. So we come up with issues, we do a SWOT analysis, we do an epistle analysis, and once we have done that, then we take that information, we have the issues, and we take that into a NetMap analysis workshop. Why? Because now we have identified the areas that we need to interrogate in relation to our stakeholders. And so we then do the NetMap analysis, and most important, the NetMap analysis helps us to come up with our communication objectives. And once we have done that, we align those communication objectives to the organizational objectives, the strategic plan objectives. Remember, communication supports the strategy of the organization. You can't be running an organization in one direction and communication is just going blindly. They have to be aligned. And so we have learned to do that, and that is one of the gaps that we have in developing communication strategies.